Good morning, Oracles. Oracle Tim here. So I had to put on the Ron Burgundy today. However, it's good news as far as I'm concerned. So looking at the stock and how it traded yesterday, we did have a little bit of a red day. Not a very big red day. We did not close over $1,100. We did close over 1090, and we're consolidating nicely right between 1090 and 1100. So that's a nice place to be, especially considering the RSI was pushing over 70 yesterday and we're still in the high 60s today. For those of you who don't know, an RSI over 70 usually indicates an overbought situation where the stock has been overbought and is due for a little bit of a sell-off. So we got that little bit yesterday. Again, not a big deal. It would be nice over the next couple of days if we consolidated, maybe sold off a little bit more just to bring that RSI down. We have production and delivery numbers coming up on Saturday. So if they come in high, that would allow for a nice pop on Monday. If the production and delivery numbers come in lower than people are expecting, we might see that sell off and a gap down on Monday, which would in turn bring the RSI down, which could then lead us to a nice run going through the cyber rodeo and get the pop after that. So either way, I think over the next week, we are going to see a little bit of a sell-off, but a pop as well. Timing of it, I'm just not sure of. A lot of it's going to depend on the data that we get, but I think that's how we are going to trade over the next week. And another important date that I'm looking for is the CPI data that comes out on April 12th. That is going to reflect the gas and oil prices being higher over March due to the Russia-Ukraine war. So that number could come in at a significantly high level and cause a market sell-off, which could bring the stock down as well. So if that does happen, I have been building up my cash reserves to be able to buy into Tesla at that point. We know that they are looking to split the stock again in the relatively near future. So for me, I would like to buy in as much as I possibly can. At these levels, I still think it's a good buy long term. I dollar cost average every single day, but looking for an opportunity to buy in a little bit lower would be outstanding. So if we do see that stock pull back, I will definitely be adding more, knowing what we have going on in the future this year for a potential split and in crazy production numbers coming out for the rest of the year. And yesterday, President Biden did say that he is going to invoke the Defense Production Act to get more materials for batteries that need to be produced. Now, my initial thought on this was, this is great. This is going to be great for the whole, the battery and EV revolution. But then I took a minute and I took a step back and thought, you know what? Why is he doing this? Tesla, Elon did say that once we get past the semiconductor supply issues, batteries would be the next issue, but Tesla already has a plan in place for that. They have many of their vendors lined up, and they are going to be producing their own batteries. Hopefully we find out at the cyber rodeo what the progress is on the 4680 batteries. But going back to President Biden doing this tells me that Legacy Auto is struggling to get batteries for the vehicles that they are trying to produce. This is why he's going to invoke that, because otherwise it's not really needed. Tesla doesn't need it. Tesla could use it, sure, why not? But they don't need it. It's Legacy Auto. So this is just another indicator that competition cannot keep up with Tesla because they have not built the foundation that they need to produce EVs as fast as they need to. And another indicator that Legacy Auto is going to be struggling when we're looking at the direct sales of vehicles. So, Tesla right now is not allowed to be sold in certain states because of the dealership laws that they have. But Legacy Auto is starting to do direct sales themselves in the states that are allowing it. So they understand the cost savings that they can benefit from by having direct sales versus dealerships. So obviously this is a huge conflict of interest for themselves, and they have to cannibalize themselves and their own business model in order to switch over. So Tesla has already gotten all of these legacy automotive makers in the first wave to start building EVs, And now Tesla is going to start creating a situation where these dealership laws are going to have to get revoked just so that Legacy Auto can do direct sales in those states. They're hampering themselves because of old dealership laws. And so Tesla is obviously going to benefit from this because they've already found their own workarounds, and now Legacy Auto can't do a workaround because they're just working around themselves. So they have to shut off these laws. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because as soon as they do it, like in states like Oklahoma where they're trying to discuss these things, they shut off the dealership laws. Tesla has free reign to get in there and do direct sales, and that's just going to increase the sales even more for them. I'm in Connecticut and we are under that same situation. Connecticut cannot do direct sales. There's no way. I have to either pick up my vehicle in Rhode Island or in New York. I can't get it in Connecticut anywhere. So we've already had an issue in West Hartford here where there was a service center that was going to be built and the town shut it down. And it's because of the dealership laws. So it kind of drives me crazy, but it's nice to see that eventually we're going to get to the point where Legacy Auto is not going to have an option and Tesla can just swoop in and take over. And these key pieces of information that I see and I share with you guys like this are things that don't move the stock. The stock is not going to be moving because of this news, but this news is what is going to be moving the stock in the future. This is huge fundamental news for the stock because Tesla being able to sell their vehicles directly in more states is going to allow for more demand. Obviously, right now, Tesla has a demand problem because they can't meet demand with their production that they currently have. But as we go forward and production increases for Tesla, they will then have new demand coming from new states and new areas that will allow them to continue to have high demand going further forward. And so looking at the current prices where we're at for Tesla, depending on how you play the stock and how you trade yourself personally for your own portfolio, this level right now for a long-term investor, perfectly fine buy, in my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, but for me, this is why I still dollar cost average at these prices. In the short term, there's a very good chance that it could pull back. Just the nature of the stock market, the nature of it being healthy. A stock cannot just keep on going up. It does need to cool off from time to time, and that in the short term could potentially happen. Long term, it should be fine. So for those of you who are playing short term, again, my thoughts for the next week could be a pop over the weekend if we get good numbers. If we do not and we get a bit of a sell-off on Monday, we will probably get a pop later in the week from the cyber rodeo. If we get good numbers over the weekend, then we could see a pop on Monday and a further run up through the rodeo, perhaps hitting $1,200 by the end of next week. But with the CPI data coming out following that, we might see the pullback. And if the RSI right now is already pushing 70, if we do get a significant run next week, I can guarantee it's going to be well over 70 and we will be overdue for a pullback. But now don't be confused by my talking about this pullback as me being bearish. For me, I would love the pullback because like I said before, I have my cash reserves been building up, so I am saving up for a pullback so that I can buy more during that time. This is something I've been talking about for months and exactly what I did during the last pullback that we had between January and March. And this is why my portfolio is now green on the year, because I invested during those times. So I'm actually at the point now where I'm looking for a pullback to be able to buy more. Now, we had talked before about potential opportunities and places to look. So 1010 is the first gap, and that huge gap that we got that was created from when we got the news on Monday about the split. So there's a huge gap that we could pull back to fill there. There is a gap down to 905 and a gap down to 801. What gaps get filled, I don't know. There's many gaps that have not been filled in the past. So this is just different data points that I look at for opportunities. None of them are guaranteed, just things I pay attention to. So as we pull back, this is also why I continue to dollar cost average, because it's not guaranteed. Don't know what's actually going to happen. So if it does, awesome. If not, at least I'm getting in at lower prices. And don't forget also, they haven't even officially announced a split yet. We should be getting the proxy on May 2nd to find out when the annual meeting is so that us as shareholders can vote on this. Sounds like 99.9% of shareholders are going to vote yes for this. So we don't know any actual real details about the actual split that they are planning. So we don't know when it is. We don't know if it's going to be 5 to 1, 10 to 1, 20 to 1. We know none of that information. So if we get a pullback, that is going to be an amazing buying opportunity, because when they do announce the official split, I guarantee we're going to see a huge run up again. So again, I love the stock long term. I'm not going anywhere with it. I keep on adding. Gonna love a dip if we get it to buy more. Let me know in the comments below if you are ready to purchase any more on a dip if we get it. And let me know if you are just excited to see what's going to go on with this split when we actually do get one. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.